Did you know that butterflies will, if they're hungry and it's available, drink human blood? Their proboscis is serrated and ultrafine, allowing them to penetrate a human skin through clothes and lap up their blood without raising any suspicion. An adult can eat up to 50 times its body weight and still fly, meaning 100 large monarchs could consume a pint of nectar in a sitting. Recently, a prominent Italian lepidopterist died under suspicious circumstances in Papua New Guinea. An experienced climber, he somehow managed to fall off of a cliff near where several different species of large Lepidoptera are known to gather, Ornithoptera alexandra in particular. Queen Alexandra's birdwing has a nearly foot-long wingspan and weighs a solid ounce when unfed, meaning that one of them can eat over 3 pints of nectar in a day. A human being has approximately 9 ounces of nectar inside them. Question: if you were a predatory hemativore seeking unsuspecting females to take nectar from, would you take the form of a rabies-infested flying rodent, or would you favor something a little more graceful and attractive to the eye? These are dark times, and these stories come from very dark places. Hello, listeners. My name is Johnas Armitage, and you're listening to Stories from Dark Places. Before we begin, I'd like to thank all of you who stopped in to listen to our podcast's inaugural episode. We've since expanded our program out onto several other platforms, so please don't hesitate to tell your friends, family, and other like-minded individuals to check us out. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you may find a podcast. Also, feel free to message us on twitter.com/storiesfromdar1 or email us directly at storiesfromdarkplaces@gmail.com. And please like, subscribe, share, rate, and comment wherever you listen to our podcast. Your support and feedback is always appreciated. Second, I want to thank Lady Darkstar, our first Patreon supporter. Our podcast is free to listen to, whatever platform you use. But listener support will help us be able to generate more content for your enjoyment. So please, if you have the capital and you enjoy our show, don't be afraid to show your support on either our Patreon or Ko-fi sites. Never mandatory, but certainly appreciated. Also, thank you to everyone who contributed to our Twitter poll. Considering the sheer magnitude of last week's story, we could be doing the same universe for some time. So we decided to let our audience decide whether our painfully pertinent pandemic story would persevere, or if we would take a break and bring you a different tale of terror to stimulate your intellectual taste buds. The polls are in, and the audience has spoken. For your listening pleasure, I present to you Chapter 2 of Spores, by Reddit user CreepiMonkeiBoi. Personal Journal of Sean Whittier, Canadian astronaut serving aboard the ISS. April 2nd. CNC advises that the pandemic has spread beyond the India-China border. I can look out the viewport and see Istanbul in flames. Susie sent me an email that said there are reported infections in Los Angeles and San Francisco. I told her to pack up and go stay with her folks in SLC. This shit is scary how fast it went from a bird flu outbreak 2 months ago to some type of fungal lung disease and 10 million dead. Dmitri showed me an email from his cousin. I don't read Russian. He said that his cousin talked about there literally being dead bodies on the streets in St. Petersburg and Love. April 25th. We're getting our last shipment for a while tomorrow. We're being sequestered up here, quote, for our safety, unquote, and log. April 26th. Soyuz TMA-30M arrived with mission specialist cosmonaut Andrei Tasko on board. Module contains food and water supplies for 6 months, additional air tanks. After docking, myself and Dmitri decided to enact a temporary quarantine to monitor cosmonaut Tasko for signs of infection. He was not happy. We'll give him 12 hours, then pop the seal. End log. April 28th. We made the right call. We can see Tasco floating around inside the Soyuz. He stopped moving a few hours ago. We can clearly see black particulates floating inside. The scrubbers, for some reason, aren't filtering. We think he's putting out more spores than the module can filter. And log. May 10th. It's surreal looking inside the module. Tasco is floating around dead, bumping off the walls. There's black stalks growing from his mouth and nose, and now eye sockets. The air inside looks dirty, like smoke. HTVCC advised us that they were going offline within 24 hours. That leaves Houston, Toulouse, Quebec, and Ober. They've all gone quiet. We've only got 2 weeks of food left. There's pallets of food inside the module that we can't touch. Luckily, we're able to siphon the exterior tanks for air without cracking the door on that death trap. I can see Tasco breathing. He's dead, but his ribs are moving, and he's just pouring out spores. And log. May 13th. After purging the module yesterday, we repressurized it remotely. It looks like the infection in Tasco had died out as well. He's not breathing anymore. May 14th. I was 5 seconds from cracking the door when Dimitri stopped me. We exposed it to vacuum for 8 hours. Minus 90-degree temperatures. It just went dormant. He stopped me, looking through the porthole, and said Tasco's chest was moving again. We watched the module fill back up with that black shit in 4 hours. 6 months of food 10 feet away. Now we can't even spacewalk because there's no telling if some of those spores landed on the hull. We can't risk even one getting in here. May 30th. Down to 3 bags of gravy. I can look out the window and see black hurricanes sweep across Africa. All we're getting from Houston is a standby signal. We tried raising someone on the radio and got a lot of static. Somebody in the Tulsa National Guard left a recorded message broadcasting at max frequency. All west of Mississippi are lost. Do not approach. Repeat. All lost. Stay away. June 12th. I watched Dimitri burn up on re-entry below me. He decided to go EVA 3 days ago. He suffocated long before he hit Atma. Said he wanted to go out on his terms. I kind of envy him now. I'm too weak to suit up. The surface doesn't look like Earth anymore. The spore storms are sweeping across every landmass. It's like the entire world burned to ash. No luck on comms. I'm not sure anyone's left standing down there. Houston's standby message went dark. That National Guard message is still playing, though. And log. June 14th. I cracked the seal. It was the best goddamn bag of turkey and gravy I've ever eaten. I've been coughing non-stop for 4 hours. There are 1-inch black threads growing
out of my arms and face. But fuck it, if I'm not gonna die well fed. Next meal is spaghetti and orange juice. I might pop the airlock and join Dimitri later. Maybe I'll just stay here with Haskell. Oh God, it's so good to eat.
How terrifyingly bleak. Could you imagine what that would feel like, watching everyone you know and love die on the surface below you, unable to send a last message to your loved ones, left spinning in the silent void? I imagine that in the end, exercising his ability to decide what he would do and, ultimately, how he would die must have been incredibly liberating. Anyway, that's all the time we have tonight. We at Radio Innsmouth would like to thank you for tuning in and sharing tonight's story. Join us next week when we present you with another tale to entertain. In the meantime, as the world descends into chaos around us, please remember these words. All human beings deserve compassion and respect in equal measure, unmarginalized by gender, race, religion, or creed. Until this is realized by the least of us, there will always be bad endings for good people. That's all for now. Good night, listeners. And please, the next time you feel like something is watching you from the shadows, remember, there's nothing to be afraid of. After all, some of the best things only happen in the dark.
Stories from Dark Places were recorded before an imaginary studio audience. All stories performed in this podcast have express written consent from the original author. Johnas Armitage and his studio manager and the entire staff of WZHP Radio Innsmouth are fictitious characters, and it's probably for the best that you continue to believe that. We at WZHP Radio Innsmouth believe that compassion is a universal language.